welcome to Frankly Speaking. Today, joining us on this special episode is a very, very special guest, Indian coach Ravi Shastri, who's joining me live today from Dubai. And Mr. Ravi Shastri, thank you for joining me on Frankly Speaking. And my first question to you is, how does it sound and how does it feel to prepare for a trip to Australia, a tour of Australia with the Indian cricket team in the pandemic times? Does it make you more nervous? Does it make you more paranoid about the safety, not just from injuries of the cricket team, but also from the pandemic, COVID, which seems to be going through a second phase of boom in many parts of the world?
I think a lot of people are looking forward to it. Because we've not played any cricket as an Indian team since the month of February. So I think this IPL was a shot in the arm for the people concerned. It lifted a lot of spirits of a lot of people, by having games every evening and something to, smile about, feel good about. So it's a good thing that's happened. It's kept the boys in good shape. They've got the required practice that was needed before you embark on a tough tour of Australia. So I think everyone all around looking forward to it because it's going to be one hard tour.
Does the pandemic change the equations a bit in terms of the way the team trains, in terms of the way interactions happen, and in terms of the general nervousness of keeping the boys not just protected from injury, but also from the pandemic?
Massive, absolutely massive. It'll be like no other tour before because there's a large contingent that goes because you can't have people flying in, flying out, because of the quarantine rules that exist, especially in Australia where they're very stringent. So it's going to be like no other tour where, you've got to, be upbeat and keep the morale of the players upbeat all the time because it can get lonely. There's always that fear at the back of the mind, as to, when you might test positive or, then what happens, things of that sort. Plus, on top of that, you've got to play cricket. So it's not going to be easy, but it's, like I said, it's a first for us. We'll approach that hurdle when it arrives.
So, Ravi Shastri, this is Times Now, and this is Frankly Speaking, and let's bring up the controversies right on top. And the biggest question that fans have in their mind is, what happens to Rohit Sharma? Why is he not part of the squad, given he's the brightest star on the horizon, in recent times?
It's being handled by the people in charge of the medical part of it. They've got some reports and, we don't get involved as a support staff.
What report?
We don't get involved in that. So they've obviously submitted the reports to the selectors and they've gone about doing their job.
You can't sidestep an important question like that saying you know nothing about it.
Yeah, I obviously know about the report, but I have absolutely no say. Even if I want something, I have no say. I have no vote. Neither I am a part of a selection. So all I know is the medical report, which says that he could be in danger of injuring himself again if he's not careful. So
is that a convenient excuse?
It's not an excuse at all. Why should there be any convenience? There's no excuse. It's medical grounds.
Would you have wanted him in the side?
Obviously. The world-class player is one of the best white ball players in the world. Who won't want him? And that's the same with Ishant Sharma. Both these players will be missed tremendously. We missed them in New Zealand and we'll miss both of them here.
But the fact that he was at the nets for the IPL match within hours of the squad being announced, does that just show that little bit of feeling let down? Because if he's okay for the IPL net practices, then he's okay for an international match.
See, in that case, there could be disappointment that this injury has happened, and he wants to. There's nothing more frustrating for a player than when he gets injured. And sometimes you want to, get out of that room of yours and try and see how quickly you can come back. And therein lies the gray area. Therein lies the problem where you want to go out and play. You want to test yourselves, but only you will know. You will know at the back of your mind, whether you're 100% or there's a chance of it going again. Now, what I fear, I have been through that as a cricketer myself. I finished my career, in 1991 when I went back to Australia, when I shouldn't have. If I'd taken a break for 3 months, 4 months, I could have played probably 5 years longer for India. So I speak from experience, as much, and a similar case, I wanted to go. The doctors told me, don't go, but it was greed. I was in tremendous form. I'd got a double 100 in Australia just a month before that. So there was that, the eagerness to go back. And that can cause serious problems. I just hope in Rohit's case, it's not that serious an injury. And he recovers, well soon. And same with Ishan. He's had a problem with his back in New Zealand. He couldn't finish the series. And now again, during this IPL, he's got a side strain. So, and there are two key players. If you look at why we won in Australia last time, Ishant had a huge role to play. And if you look at why we beat South Africa in India, Rohit had a huge role to play. If we are sitting on top of the Test Championship, both these players have had a role to play. So, for me to say I'm not disappointed that they're there on the tour would be the big.
So would you have liked to personally take a look at their capabilities in the nets before a final call was taken? Do you feel that the team would have needed them, and therefore, if personally you'd had a look into it, you would be more satisfied?
Not at all. There's no doubting his quality. So there's nothing for me to see about his game.
No,
and I'm
about
not a
his.
physio. I'm not a physio.
About his readiness and how he performs.
No, I'm not a physio, so I don't read reports. Yes, I can see quality batting, and I know his quality. So I don't need to see him bat. It is how he feels, what the physios think. The last thing you want is rushing him and him getting injured again. So there's, and the physios we have, they've been around for a long time. Like Nitin Patel, who's our physio, has been with the Mumbai Indians also for 10 years. So he obviously knows what he's talking about. He might be a little cautious here, in seeing that, Rohit has had these injuries in the past. So, it's his call at the end of it.
What about KL Rahul's selection as the team's vice captain? Given the fact that Rahul doesn't have that kind of experience in test matches, and it is actually based on his IPL performance that he's been sort of picked up. Questions doing the rounds all over the place about him and his role as the vice captain of the team. What do you think about that?
He captained India and New Zealand when Rohit was injured and Virat was injured. He captained the side. So why is everyone surprised? And we won that game.
So you're saying there's nothing surprising?
No, he's the last game India played, the T20 game, he was the captain of the side. As simple as that. So I'm not surprised
so,
at all.
Ravi Shastri, what about Surya Kumar Yadav? He's performed well too. Why doesn't he find a place? And look at what the greats have written about him. Virinder Sehwag says, "Bande mein hai dam, jaldi number aayega, no doubt." Chris Srikanth says, "What a knock." Sachin Tendulkar says, "Important win for him." And others say that we don't know what more he has to do to be in the side.
That's why we say to these youngsters, be patient, because like Surya Kumar, there are 3-4 other players on the fringe. But when you have a team that is packed with talent and experience, sometimes it becomes very difficult to get in. I remember a period in my career when from 1 to 6 in the Indian batting lineup, everyone was certain of their places. And it was very difficult for anyone to penetrate that middle order. And yet you had some, people who were scoring tons of runs in domestic cricket and, knocking that door all the time. So I believe for all these youngsters, I have one message. Be patient. When you get your opportunity, grab it with both hands. That's the time you don't mess up, So, instead of being disappointed, be positive in your mindset that when you get the opportunity, make the most of it. And it's happened to a lot of players in the past. Given the opportunity, they've grabbed it. So my only message will be, there. Because if you look at this team also that's going, if any of the players from this batting lineup had been dropped, then you would have said, how are they dropped?
Ravi Shastri, I want to ask you, from the times when you were in the early 80s part of the Indian cricket team, in those days, the stories used to be about the Bombay club, the Maharashtra club, and this, that, and the other, and how selections had happened, and who called the shots. In short, a lot of politics in the way selections were done. Do you think we've put those times behind us? Are we a more professionally handled team now?
I wouldn't say politics, but certainly more transparency now because of, the way the players are exposed, to the media, not just print media. In our time, it was print media early on. Television started taking over, in the late 80s. But today, they are in the spotlight, 24/7. They can't get away. And for the public get to see every game live. So they know who's performing, not performing. So, even from the selectors' point of view, they're fully aware that, everyone's performance is in public domain. As opposed to in our time where, you believed in what the print media wrote. There was not live television for every game. So that is the biggest difference. And, I think the pressure on the selectors is much more now. We are a vast country with 1.2 billion people and only 15 can play. It's a tough call. There's bound to be someone who'll miss out. And there'll be bound to be some people who, when given the opportunity, don't look back. They don't look over their shoulder for the next 10 years. So you got to be in that position. And if there was that much politics, I played in an era, Navika, from 1981 to 1987. We won every damn thing that existed. Won the World Cup, won the Asia Cup, won the Rothmans Cup, won the World Championship, beat England in England 2-0. You can't have politics and win all that.
I know. Who doesn't remember your Audi in 1983 World Cup and the cup and the round that you took of the stadium? Of course, that's a part of history that's etched in our minds. Some of us who grew up on a full diet of cricket in those days. But let me ask you, what do you think about politicians being involved in the management of cricket? It's been a stranglehold from the Sharad Pawar days. Now you have Home Minister Amit Shah's son Jai Shah as the secretary of BCCI. What do you think about politicians controlling cricket?
I don't think they control cricket. They delegate jobs, and I can go firsthand and tell you some of them have done an outstanding job, if not all of them. Right from my time when there was Wankhede, then there was NKP Salve, then there was Madhav Rao Sindhya, then there was Raj Singh. He wasn't a politician. You had Sharad Pawar. And look at the performances. When NKP Salve was the president, we won the World Cup and the World Championship. When Sharad Pawar was the president, we won the World Cup in India. 7 years, Jaitley ji was on the governing council with me. And his contribution, his knowledge, his sharp mind, where he came to give IPL the advice that it needed was fantastic. And then, of course, the Delhi cricket, has seen so many players for India in the last 6, 7 years, it all is because of him. Rajiv Shukla, he was chairman of the IPL, successful. Anurag Thakur. If anyone goes to Dharamshala and see what he's done there, it'll blow your breath away, with the facility there. The stadium coming up in Ahmedabad, where young Jay is at the helm. If that blew your breath away, this will blow your mind away, the stadium in Ahmedabad. So, but it's not, I think people take it wrongly. They are master delegators and they are extremely helpful, in times when you need something done very quickly. They know, the strings to pull, and it helps. And I like Mr. Pawar, I can give you in writing, never interfered in cricket. Never interfered in cricket. His diktat was cricket should be handled by cricketers and the selectors, and leave the administration to the others. He was very, very clean on that score and clear. And the same.
So you're saying administrative strings that have to be pulled are pulled better by politicians. You're saying cricketers can't do that.
How can they do that? It is not their domain. They are administrators. When you sit in that seat, you have, you know how that job is done. I don't know how that job is done, so I stay away from administration.
And the younger crop, they also work better with the administration in the hands of politicians.
They've got experience. They've got the experience when it comes to administration. They handle parties, they look after elections, they know their constituencies. It demands a lot of, administrative skills, which are there. They don't come out and become selectors.
So, Ravi Shastri, I want to ask you, you're such a senior cricketer, you're the coach of the team now, and your captain is Virat Kohli. Very often there has been a criticism that's come your way that you're actually a cheerleader of Virat Kohli, and you concur with everything he says, which is why you get along well with him and you are where you are, because Anil Kumble and Virat Kohli didn't get along, and Kumble had to step down from that position, and you wear the cap simply because the camaraderie between you two takes you along. How do you react to these comments?
I give a toss, to be honest, really, because I know what happens inside the dressing room. And what happens in the dressing room, I believe, should stay in the dressing room. Okay? So
come on. Some journalists need a peek.
No one will get nothing from me here. That's like a temple or a church or a house in power. You'll get nothing from me. I've been in dressing rooms long enough.
So you're saying that you get along like a house on fire with Virat, or are you saying there are differences which you sort out in the dressing room?
No, there will be agreements, there'll be disagreements, but then that's when you sort it out. There's always got to be, everyone should be open to speak their minds. It doesn't just have to be me. Someone in the coaching staff might have a view, which I might not agree on, Virat might not agree on. Or I might have a view which both of them might not agree on. At the end of the day, you got to see what's the best for the team. And if you look at this team's performance over the last 6-7 years, I mean, what do you have to say? They've been number one in every format of the game. They've played outstanding cricket. If anything, the only thing left is to win a World Cup. Otherwise, they've done anything. They've beaten sides in their own dens. They've had a superb record at home. They've been outstanding in white ball cricket. So, what do you have to say? And now they embark on a very tough tour.
So Ravi Shastri, there were reports that when Virat Kohli was, appointed, he was appointed up to the point of the World Cup, and after the World Cup, he just continued. The greats, people like Sunil Gavaskar, have written in columns that at least there should have been a 5-minute meeting of the selectors to come out and say that, okay, we are extending it, and he continues. Even that meeting wasn't held, and his captaincy just continued seamlessly. Uh, do you think there is merit in the criticism that Mr. Gavaskar pointed out?
I don't think so at all. I think you just see his record after the World Cup. He's won every damn thing. So what is there? Okay, for 5 minutes, what would that 5 minutes have made? What difference? Someone would have picked up a phone call. Arey, isko banana chahiye? Haan, banao. Chalo, thank you. Bas. That's what you want. He's still there and he's doing a job. So, and don't forget, when we embark on this tour of Australia, he is the only Asian captain, dead or alive, who has beaten Australia in a series in Australia and beaten Australia in a series in India. And India beat them last time after 70 years. Australia's track record in India is the same. They have beaten India only once in the last 50 years. So therein lies the rivalry, and that's what you will expect now. Good hard tour. But he's the only captain, Asian captain, dead or alive, who's beaten Australia and Australia in India. You can have another 5-minute call after that, and we'll decide whether he should go as captain.
So you think Mr. Gavaskar has been his bonnet about Virat Kohli?
Each one to his own. I've played enough cricket with Sunny. Everyone's entitled to an opinion.
But he does?
He's always had an opinion. And what's wrong in that?
So when he made...
I've never been shy of voicing my views. So it's each one to his own.
So recently when Mr. Gavaskar, in his commentary box made a statement that Mr. Virat Kohli and his recent practice was only with Anushka bowling, and that comment went viral with, views on either side coming in. Anushka, of course, took exception and said that, it was a sexist jibe and she was being targeted for her husband's performance. What do you think? Should that comment have been made? Or do you think Anushka was being rather touchy?
Well, each one to their own, Navika. If she felt hurt, she has every right to say what she wants to say. She's a lady, and ladies are entitled to their rights.
And gentlemen of the cricket, should they be making comments of that kind, rather personal?
Again, each one to his own.
No, but you've been a commentator. You played with Sunil Gavaskar.
I'll speak for myself.
Stop being Mr. Agreeable. There are no prizes. There are no awards for that.
I'll speak for myself. I wouldn't have gone down that route. Is that agreeable or disagreeable? I would not have gone down that route.
Do you think the teams are now a lot more disciplined because they're followed virtually everywhere with cameras and spotlights on them?
No question about that. I mean, the spotlight on them, like from our times to now, it's like chalk and cheese. They work really, really hard on their fitness. We've got a good professional setup with us. And you don't have to tell them. They know. They know their jobs. They know what the game gives them. They know, their responsibilities, both for India and for their franchises. So I think they're fully aware. And because of all what you said, because of the spotlight and being, wherever they go, there's something on them.
And what do you think about this media gag on players? The last time KL, Rahul and another cricketer were on the Karan Johar show, they made a few sexist remarks, and since then it's a virtual clampdown. Do you think it works to have a gag order on them, or do you think in moderation things are fine, but gag orders are not always good?
I don't think there are any gag orders. I think it's in moderation. It's and the reason for that being, when things are taken out of context and spun around, it can hurt people. So if you're better off going and speaking in a press conference where everyone's there, rather than doing these one-to-one. That's why I believe in a press conference, everyone's there. It's recorded. You want to ask something, ask in a press conference. As simple as that. And I've been very clear that as many of my players I can send to press conferences, I've sent. You'll never find the same guys going in there. The junior most will be sent out, and he's not told what to say. Let him learn. Going there, if he makes a mistake, he will learn from that mistake. Rather than being wrapped in cotton wool and told, ye bolo, ye nahi bolo. No, you answer the question. Come back and reflect if your answer was right or wrong. And can you do better next time round? Because I'm sending you back in 5 days. So there's no question of gagging. And this is press conferences. So where's the question of gagging? Everyone's there, including, the television channels. They're all there. Print media, television channels, electronic media, you name it.
Ravi Shastri, what about the fact that many people keep talking about continuously about nepotism, favoritism, and some amount of non-transparency in the selection, and they say the coach and the captain have a lot of say in the selection of young cricketers. How much of it is the captain and how much of it is the coach?
It's, I would say we'll have a discussion, on if, as to what should be the balance of the side, what should be the mixture, how we can be flexible. And then you go accordingly, to see who fits in what number. And you go and tell that to the selector. I will tell it, I will have a chat with Virat. Virat will go and, mention it to the selectors. Then it is their call. Because even he doesn't have a vote in the meeting. Yes, he has a say, and they will respect always a captain. In the years that I have been involved in the game, a captain's opinion is seriously taken. But the voting power is with the selectors.
And transparency?
Much more transparency now, because everyone's watching the cricket on television. So you can't just get someone out of the blue and put him in. There'll be an uproar. So, it's every game is seen live on television. The stats are out, the videos are out, weaknesses of players are, exposed, strengths of players also mentioned. So, you then, make sure that you get the right balance.
And
it's a difficult job, even a selector's job, difficult, because it's a country of 1.2 billion. For every team that you pick, there'll be 24, 25 out there who have an opportunity, and you can only pick 15 or 16 or 17. So, it's always going to, no matter how long this game exists, you will always ask this question, because someone will miss out and people might think might be lucky to get it. That is always going to be the debate, no matter how long cricket is played or no matter who the selectors are.
So, Ravi Shastri, given that you've spent almost 40 years on the field, in the game, and being close to it, in recent times, we've seen two super captains. One, of course, MS Dhoni, and now Virat Kohli. How do you compare the two individuals and the two captains?
I mean, you can't have two opposites like that. One calm, composed, doesn't react to anything. I have not seen anyone with a temperament like that. Whether it's whether it's a 0 or next day he gets 100, whether he wins a World Cup or he loses a test match, he is the same, MS Dhoni. His composure, his calmness, the way he handles, the media and everything is that calmness. In Virat Kohli, in your face. There's no messing around. He's naturally aggressive, and he believes that's his strength. And I back that totally, because I'm not far behind in the way he thinks. And he takes it to the opposition. So that one calm, composed will take the back seat and control the game. One will be in the face of the opposition and call the shots. And both have their merits. As if you look at the success rate of both of them, both have merits. So, a classic example. In our time, in our time, very similar. Gavaskar, calculated, assured, calm. Kapil Dev, instinctive and spontaneous, and that spontaneous used to spread around the team very quickly. So again, two different styles, both effective.
And how do teams react to their two different styles?
No, they adapt. One thing you must do in this game is adapt to the requirements of the team, requirements of how the captain, wants to set the tone, and accordingly play around that. It's not difficult. They get to know. They're experienced enough to get to know very quickly, which captain wants what.
Okay, and do you with a captain like MS Dhoni have to second guess all the time, whereas you know it upfront from a captain like Virat Kohli, or do you think the messaging is not a problem, whatever be your temperament?
No, whatever be. Messaging is not a problem. And that's where we are there to help, the support staff and everything. Our job is not to go out and play on the field, but, to make sure the communication lines are very good within the team and try and ease the pressure out of the minds of the players so that they can go out and play freely. And one of the main things in the team, what we demand is trust, total trust. Because when you get out there, if you want to win big games, big series, that trust factor becomes extremely important.
Are there showdowns between players?
Not really. Not really. There'll be an argument. There'll be an argument, oh, you should have done that, or, you should have tried to bounce this fellow. Someone else would have said, no, you should have bowled a Yorker. There will be those, argument, which is healthy. You don't want everyone agreeing on one thing only, Yes. There has to be a discussion. There has to be a debate. And then, with a calm head, think what's the best for the team. And then take that forward.
But are you saying there are no ugly scenes? Sometimes arguments, amongst young guys can turn volatile.
And in my term as a coach, in the 6-7 years, I have not had any such incident. I've been since 2014. Just a period of 9 months when Anil was there. But I don't think I have seen anything, and I don't think even he would have seen anything of that sort.
With MS Dhoni retiring, is there going to be a vacancy in the wicket-keeping field, which is going to be difficult to fill in?
Those are big boots, massive boots to fill. with the track record he has, he's gone down in history as one of our greatest cricketers. Not just as a keeper, as a batsman, but his record as a captain. To find a replacement for that is like you telling me once Kapil Dev finished, when we get a Kapil Dev. Till today, we have not found a Kapil Dev. Can we get another Tendulkar? It's not easy to get these kind of players. But there's enough talent in the country, and it's up to the youngsters to grab that opportunity, which I'm talking about, because there might not be too many because of the competition. So when you get your opportunity, be focused enough to make the most of it.
So Ravi Shastri, let me also ask you about your own performance on the field, off the field, and now into a new avatar as an entrepreneur, where you're starting your own brand of personal hygiene products called 23 Yards. Isn't cricket satisfying enough for you to get into FMCG and allied areas? Or is it the brand name of Ravi Shastri, that you want to lend?
No, not at all. In fact, I have never planned, Navika, what's next. When I played cricket, I played from 18 to 29, 30. I injured my knee. I didn't know what I was going to do next. Lo and behold, I got into broadcasting 3 months later. Did that for 23, 24 years. And at that time, if you ask me, what are you going to do next? I had no clue. I became coach of India. So and it carried on. So it's you don't plan, it just happens. But the passion and the love for the game is such that it keeps you attached to the game. And in this pandemic lockdown period, there was nothing to do. You could think. And when someone brought up this idea, I said, why not? I said, but I'd like to give the name 23 yards because, my entire life for 40 years is centered around 22 yards, okay, which is the cricket pitch. As a player, it was what happened on the pitch. As a broadcaster, you speak on what happens around that 22 yards. As a coach, you watch what happens around that 22 yards. But what the sport taught me in those 40 years is the job satisfaction you get in anything you do, player, broadcaster, coach, is going that extra yard, wanting to go that extra yard and accept the challenge rather than backing off. You might be right, you might win some, you might lose some, but that accepting the challenge to go for the 23rd yard is the fun. That's why 20 yards the name.
So do you think, as many old timers or fans of the traditional form of cricket say, that IPL actually does dilute the cricketing mantras and the dharma of cricket in the short form?
Absolutely not. I think, it was just the injection the game needed, this IPL. Because, like I mentioned, it was getting stereotyped. The test match, the game, the one-day game, you needed this injection, And what it's done is not only has it been a cash cow, around the world for the respective boards, but from my experience, what I've found is brought more and more new people to watch the game. It's created a massive platform for Indian talent to showcase their talent, which is each franchisee has to play 7 Indian players. So, each game has 14 Indians playing. So the opportunity, the platform is massive. You could be a hero in one day. If you can catch the imagination of people in no time. So I think it's tremendous. It's given a lot of cricketers to the Indian team over the last 4 or 5 years, and the quality of cricket, has been fabulous. If you look at the standard of fielding, the running between the wickets, the catching, the standards have gone. Compared to our era, this is fabulous. And the beauty about the IPL, each year, it raises the bar on its own because of the quality of cricket. And if you see this year's IPL as well, there are about 5-6 teams who can make it to the playoffs. You don't know with just a week to go. It's fabulous.
So 5-day versus 4-day cricket matches, red ball versus pink ball. How do you react to these changes?
You have to evolve with the time. Now, I'll tell you where the pink ball comes from. Pink ball comes from, they want people to come in after work, and get a session or a session and a half of cricket. And in Australia, it worked. In India, the problem we have is with the weather and the dew that kicks in. And you don't have a ball ready as yet that you can guarantee, say, we can play even after 5 o'clock and withstand the dew. So it's something that's in process. They're trying to develop the best possible ball. If that happens, then you might see more of day-night matches. But it's different.
So Ravi Shastri, as you're headed to Australia, I want to ask you, will there be more pressure this time on you and the boys, given the fact that last time you beat them on their turf, this time you have to better the record, because nothing less than that is going to satisfy the fans back home?
Like I mentioned, we have nothing to lose. Honestly, nothing to lose. We are going to go there and be as competitive, try to be as competitive as we were last time, and play the brand of cricket like we played in Australia over the last 6-7 years. Pressure is on Australia, because the same question you asked me, the entire nation will want them to beat us. It's just like when they come to India, the pressure is on the home team because you want to beat them in your own country. So we'll go there. We'll treat this tour just like any other tour. We know what we did last time round, and we'd like to repeat that.
Mr. Ravi Shastri, you're trying to ease off the pressure from your shoulders and the shoulders of the boys in the Indian team. But the fact of the matter is that Indian fans are not going to be so magnanimous. They're going to want you to win this tournament in Australia yet again, because they never like anything but a victory. And if you're not victorious after winning the last tournament in Australia, the brickbats, the trolling is going to be back to haunt you.
Too used to it. We are not going there to play marbles. We know what we are going there for. We are playing a country like Australia, in Australia. It's one of the hardest tours in the world. You ask any sportsman or any cricketer who's toured Australia and played in Australia. It is one of the toughest tours. But we went past the line the last time round, and that will be our endeavor this time too. Like I said, we're not going in there to fill in the numbers in a bilateral series.
Well, it's been a real special session with you, Mr. Ravi Shastri. Thank you for joining me on Frankly Speaking. It's been lovely chatting with you and catching up with what plans you have for the Indian cricket team. And of course, as my school time cricketing idol from the World Cup 1983 days, it was a pleasure engaging with you on this episode of Frankly Speaking. Thank you, Mr. Shastri.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Navika. Thank you.